WTUG HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station.
One man to beat, you can forget about it. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't think biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9. Also join us on the online network under Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube under Martin Houston. We're powered by MaX Sports. It's the sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. I want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. We will invite you to like, share, and follow and support the online stream. You can do that by giving Facebook stars or clicking on the QR code that will be displayed later on in the program. We thank you so much for joining us yet again. We do this because we love it, but we love that you join us each and every day. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. It's a Wildcard Wednesday. We can do some Would You Rather, or if you have any topics that you want to get to us, you can bring that up. With it being a wild card, you can always bring up topics that's kind of burning. Yesterday, we didn't finish the conversation with Nick Saban. We got DC's thoughts on that topic. I disagreed with DC in part. DC seeming to think that he definitely didn't think it was intentional, but I was a little stronger in the sense that he should have known, even though he may have been oblivious. It's hard for me to believe that Nick Saban has not followed that story at all. And even though it's a narrative that he says and repeats, I still think the timing of that narrative, the irony of the exact words that contradicted the words of Nate Oates, Brandon Miller, University of Alabama. I find that hard to believe when a leader is at the level he's at. Saban has told us he doesn't listen to sports, but he's always able to, doesn't watch the news and sports and all that, but he's always able to comment directly on what's in the news. So if he doesn't listen, someone is telling him. And so you can't tell me that story was not out there and that those words didn't, and Curtis Lewis just nailed it. Nick never says unintentional stuff. Now, Paul Patterson, I think, probably said what was happening as well as anyone did. He said that he thinks that Coach Saban, was addressing his team and speaking to his team, because that is a message he's delivered to them. He said, you're free to do whatever you want. You're just not free from the consequences. But we'll dig into that. I want to get your thoughts on that, and we'll come back to that. A couple other things that I thought about yesterday on this Wildcard Wednesday, something we did not dig into, but I asked the question: would Nate Oates get a statue? And there were several sports that people came to the defense of their coaches. Golf, men's golf, not having a statue. Softball coach not having a statue. Gymnastics coach not having a statue. But they made a good point that is worth potentially looking into. Will there be a statue with the new Coliseum or building that that will allow that there'll be a new building X, and there'll be a Walk of Champions added. And it, instead of it necessarily being a sport, it may be multiple sports and different things. So it'll be interesting to see. But that is a conversation I would like to have with you today as well. And like I said, we'll circle back on the Nick Saban. We'll circle back on the statue. We'll end the program with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. And he'll join us for the Christian Moment of the Week. But what I want to talk about this morning, X, is news of Dante Hightower retiring. And it kind of made me think a little bit. One question is Dante Hightower a Hall of Famer? And will he find himself in Canton? Then it made me think, is Dante Hightower the best of the Nick Saban crew in terms of linebackers, and kind of maybe even the best of the guys that came from that era that reestablished Alabama football? Has Dante quietly been the best of all of those? So that's worth having. And so I'm gonna let y'all noodle on that for a second, X, and then come back to it. But what do you think about Damian Harris? Is Damian Harris chasing a ring? Damian Harris has left the New England Patriots, signed with the Buffalo Bills, just up the road a little bit. Got a little colder, but maybe a little closer to a Super Bowl. What do you think about Damian Harris? Good move, being that they have a couple of young running backs already in their backfield.
I think it's a really good move because Damian's skill set's a little bit different from the guys that they have in Singletary and Cook. He's a bigger back. He's a stronger back. He brings that power aspect to the game for them. And, when you're playing in that cold weather, you can be fleet-footed, but you got to be able to take those leaks too. And I think that's what Damian will bring to the Buffalo Bills. And I think that is it alleviates the pressure off of Josh Allen having to be the run game as much as he was this past year. And you can still do the running back by committee because I believe the three top guys there bring something different to the table. But Damian can be your short yardage, your power back in those late November through December games.
Yeah, Blind Squirrel Sports says that the Harris Cook combo could be similar to the Zamir White Cook combo at Georgia when they were there together. I guess I'd ask you a question regarding the Damian move in terms of him going there. If you are a Buffalo Bills fan, and this may seem crazy because of their production, but I'm not sure it does in terms of making sense for the team if you look at it on the surface. But would you rather have Damian Harris or Derrick Henry if you're the Buffalo Bills?
That's a good question. I mean, I think Derrick Henry is still a top 5 back in this league. And I think when Damian Harris is healthy, he could be a top 15 back easily. But then you start to look at the age aspect of it. And Derrick's almost 30. And I hope he's one of these unicorns that can be good for another 3 or 4 years. But, there's a wall that a lot of running backs seem to hit at the 30 mark. So you get a few more years out of Damian, even if you don't necessarily get the 1,500 yards. But I think teams will take a guy that's going to get you 900 to 1,100 for 5 years versus a guy that might get you 1,500 twice.
Yeah, I think the key is, like I said, on surface, it's an easy answer. It's King Henry. I mean, it's Derrick Henry without a doubt. But if you just look at it on the surface, but he wouldn't be King Henry in that offense. He wouldn't be the same Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a dominant running back. But Derrick Henry is one of those backs that you have to be committed to the run game in order for him to have the impact. You can't run him 8, and you can't run Derrick Henry 6-7 times in the first half, 6-7 times in the second half, and him be as productive. We saw that here at Alabama. We've seen it at Tennessee, and of course in high school he just ran it as much as he wanted. 40, 50 times a game if necessary. So I guess he did that at Alabama too. But so when I look at it, I think as far as if you're going to use Derrick and you're going to incorporate him into your offense and help modify your offense, him and that quarterback tandem between him and Henry would be, that with Henry in the backfield would be something they're missing. But I don't think it would work out that way. I think that's why they ended up settling on Damian, is because Damian gives them another pop at running back, and it fits that scheme more. Thoughts, comments, rebuttal from you?
Well, Martin, I'm curious to know what you think of this. I feel like the Bills should have gone for somebody like Derrick Henry and absolutely let the offense run through him, because it seems to me that the only thing that's held this team back the last couple seasons, especially last year, is Josh Allen's turnovers. And so I think you need to maybe at this point in his career put the ball in his hands fewer times per game. He's still got amazing playmaking ability. He's a very talented, he's a top 10 quarterback, but he turns the ball over way too much when you ask him to throw the ball 35, 40 times a game.
I think that's why I said if they're going to modify the offense, without a doubt, you take Henry, Aiden, because Josh has to turn the ball over because they don't have a run game. They have not had a what I call cold weather
consistent
end of the year. It's not just they run the ball fine at the beginning of the year. It's just as they go through the season and they put more and more stuff on film, guess what? Everybody learns what you do. And then they take away the running game and say, beat me, Josh Allen, and Josh has no fallback. And that's when the turnovers, because you go back and look at his turnovers down the stretch, Aiden, they're a lot higher from, the talking heads. I don't watch Buffalo a lot early in the season. I usually don't pick him up and start watching him to the end of the season. And he's like a turnover machine down the stretch. And so it appears that if they have a running game, now the question is, can Damian be good enough to give them a running game that they'll take some of that off of Josh? But to your point,
and if you look at the issues,
what?
It's a lot of fumbles. I mean, he has 52 career fumbles.
Yep.
I mean, I can settle for a guy throwing 35 touchdowns and 14 interceptions at the end of the day. But I don't want my quarterback to have 100 100 carries every year outside of his rookie year. Even though he's putting up, so if you can drop that number down to 75 and give those, 50 carries to a running back, how many less fumbles is that?
Yeah. And that's the thing. And like I said, if you ask me, would you rather? If I'm making the decision, I'm going after Henry, and then I'm going to modify my offense to Aiton's point, to your point, X, and to to Blind Squirrel Sport and Sports and Curtis Lewis's point. I'm taking Derrick Henry. I just don't know that they will modify it that much. I think Josh Allen with Derrick Henry becomes an even bigger run threat and has more rushing yards with a lot fewer carries because you have to pick out which one of those giants you're going to tackle. I mean, they're the same size. They're both 245, 250 pounds, 6'3", 6'4". I mean, they're monsters, but you don't want Josh Allen running the ball as many times and give those carries to Henry. And I think you would have had a tandem that would have got you to the Super Bowl. So that's just my thoughts there. If you have different thoughts or comments, you're always welcome to add them in chat or call us on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904. Hey, you may be tuning in going, oh my God, we're not talking Alabama basketball. We got plenty of time to get to it. We will circle back to that. But let's talk about this Saban comment, and that'll get us a little bit of the hoops. Was it careless? Let me ask it a different way. He threw him under the bus, intentional or not. But was this extremely careless? And what's kind of the thought process and the impact of this statement moving forward? And then we'll talk some football. But coming back immediately out of the break, I've given you time to think about it. Is Dante Hightower, is he the best of the Alabama players that have left? Where does his career stack up? Where did his career stack up from a Hall of Famer standpoint? Where did his career stack up from a former Alabama player standpoint? And where does his career stack up from a former linebacker standpoint? We'll talk about all of those on the other side, and we'd love to get your thoughts and your opinions. We'll be back in just a moment for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything looking pretty good on our roadways on this Wednesday morning. Now, if you do see conditions, of course, give me a call. Townsend Nissan is so busy, they are hiring salespeople with up to a $5,000 signing bonus. See BJ or Kylan at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Hey everybody, Steve Azar here. I've got quite the apparel collection that I can't wait to share with you. From microfleece pullovers to athletic polos and caps, my signature outerwear will have you stepping out in style. Play at Pearl River Resort Fridays and Saturdays in March, earn 200 base points, and get my signature apparel. It's always no work and all play at Pearl River Resort. See y'all soon.
If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Out only in Mississippi. Must be 21 or older to play.
Breaking news.
Tax refund shock is everywhere, but what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too. The culprit? Pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this reporter's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Going there now.
50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Work is a part of all of us. Working drives us to push beyond what we thought was imaginable and allows us to come together again for the things that really matter. That's why the Alabama Department of Labor and the Alabama Career Center system is here to help you discover bigger opportunities than ever before. Visit your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov. Funding provided by the USDOL, PTA, and Federal WIOA, an Equal Opportunity Employer Program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request. Brought to you by this station and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The warming trend continues today. A mixture of clouds and sunshine, the high 72. Fair tonight, the low 54. Tomorrow, sunny and very warm, the high 83. Friday, warm and breezy. Strong storms arrive Friday night, the high Friday 82. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 53 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Hey, don't forget to go check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value under the biggest cactus in town. Marty Lyons and Wilkin Formby will be there eating their 2 for $2 and 4 for $4. They'll leave a little bit for you. So go check them out. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value under the biggest cactus in town. Find them online at tacocasa.com. 6 locations spread throughout West Alabama to better serve you. One up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive. It's Taco Casa. Quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. All right, guys, let's circle back on some of that conversation. Phone lines are open. Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. You can call us up, or you can add your comments in chat, and we'll work them into the conversation. So, Hightower. We got a caller. Let's go ahead and get that to that conversation before we get into that. And of course, we got Hightower conversation on deck, and we got Saban's comments on deck. And with Saban's comment, my question to you, as listeners and followers and viewers out there, was it careless? Was it intentional? Was it unintentional? But regardless, why it was a mistake, why it was unfortunate, we'll talk about that. But Todd, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Great show today. I don't mean I know it's not Free For All Friday, but I got one for you all.
It's a wild card. It's a wild card Wednesday.
Okay, yes. Awesome. So, would you rather play for longevity? If, just say, for instance, you're a quarterback in the NFL right now. Would you rather play for longevity, or would you just rather play your normal play of football? Because these guys, you're talking about Josh Allen and him rushing the ball that many times. How much of a beating can somebody's physical body take year in, year out? Mahomes, you see him at the end of the year, man, just banged up. How long can these guys do this? And I know it's very difficult to change your style of play because that's your style of play. And don't get me wrong, I love watching Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, the Buffalo Bill quarterback. I love watching them go down the field and just lay it all on the table. So I would just like to ask you guys, would you rather play for longevity like the Bradys and the other guys that's playing for longevity? I know that's their style of quarterback, and that allows them to play for longevity. But you gotta wonder, are these guys thinking about that in the back of their mind, the longevity of their careers in the NFL?
X, I'll let you respond first. I have some thoughts on it.
When you look at it, of course, yes, you would want to play as long as you're capable, but I don't think you should cheat yourself of what you're good at to try to achieve that. Now, the other aspect of it is the money's a lot different. These guys are going to make the amount of money some of these guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers have made in a lot shorter period of time because of these contracts. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has a $500 million contract. He's going to get in 10 years. So he doesn't even have to play 15 years to make close to $600 million in his career. So, I mean, if you're changing your game so much that it makes you not as effective, it's not worth it.
Yeah, and here's the question. The first question you have to ask yourself is, would Tom Brady have a long career today? If Tom Brady was starting off, Tom Brady may not even make it in the league today, because there's a style of play. I mean, we forget that Tom Brady got what he got, and then the league changed, and that's what made Tom Brady have such a long career. Is the Tuck rule saved him? He would never got to the Super Bowl. If he don't get that rule. And then when his knee got hurt, they came back and you couldn't hit quarterbacks. And now you have to roll and all that. So the league has created the Tom Brady's and the Aaron Rodgers because they protect pocket quarterbacks. Okay. Let's think about that. Quarterback in the pocket, you can't touch him. Quarterback runs, you can drill him. So with that said, the league is still trying to build rules around the way football used to be played. But I think if you start looking, everybody always tries to say that Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow is in the same vein as Tom Brady. No, he's not. That dude is an athlete who can run it. He just chooses to dial you up with his arm. He's going to have a long career. But here's the part that I don't think anybody's figuring out when you start thinking about longevity and long careers. These guys are built different. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. They're not the weak. I call them feeble. Even though Tom Brady played a long time, I think Tom Brady spent $1 million a year on his body. I think these other guys are doing the same thing, Todd. So were guys in the old days, the Fran Tarkentons of the world, and even the Michael Vicks of the world, I don't think they invested in their body the same way as these guys do today. And so I think you're going to still see them have long careers. And if they don't continue to play with their style of play, to Xavier's point, their career is going to be short anyway. I mean, so they can't change who they are. But I do think, like we were talking about, adding Derrick Henry to a Josh Allen or offsetting some of those carries on the extended his career. But let's think about it. Derrick Henry runs more times in a month than these quarterbacks run in some of their careers. How many carries has Josh Allen had? About a season's worth compared to what Derrick
In his career, he has 546 carries during the regular season, and then another 63 in the playoffs. So he's right up under.
Didn't Derrick Henry have like over 400 yards one year? I mean, carries one year, or right at it? Yeah,
he got close.
So you see what I'm saying? So these guys are built different. So I think their careers are going to be just as long on the average. The average quarterback is not Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Peyton. The average quarterback is probably 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And I think these guys will have that type of career. I don't think anybody wants to play that long in today's game, though. I don't think any of them are looking for 15, 20 years. It was fun for Tom until his wife left him, but I'm being serious. I think she thought he was retired for good, and he was retiring to get to Miami, and when it came out, I think she was like, "Dude, you promised me you were retiring." So anyway, that's just part of
But Derrick Henry's career high is 378, and then he had 349 this
So
year.
he has in 2 years he has 700 and something carries. So I you know, and you know, and they said here is a grown man. He is, but these quarterbacks today train different than quarterbacks did in the old days. Would you agree with that, X?
Oh, without a doubt, these guys. One, the technology, two, the money that they put into it, and three, every generation is just a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit more athletic than the older generation. And you're seeing that at the quarterback position now. Most of these guys would have been, Josh Allen probably would have been a tight end 20 years ago. Jalen Hurts would have been a running back. Lamar Jackson might have been a wide receiver, but because of the way the game is changed and things of that nature, they're getting to show their skills as a
and they're bigger, faster, stronger, so they'll have a longer career than what the former running backs used to have. I mean, the former quarterbacks used to have that ran the ball. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. And there's always going to be the anomalies that don't make it as as it used to be. Kurtzwood said QB today is soft as tissue. I would say it's the NFL protects them like their tissue, but I think these guys that run the ball, the ones that know they're going to do it, I think Jalen Hurts is a physical specimen. I believe that Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson has a knee injury. That's not a hit. Lamar Jackson is not suffering from a hit problem.
Lamar Jackson got hurt throwing the ball.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, that's not a physicality injury that he's suffering from. In other words, it's not from him getting beat down. It's from what could happen at any position playing the way every position has always been played. So, and then he said Tua. I think Tua's in a category by himself. Tua has had that problem you can't put Tua over there by himself.
He's been injury prone before Tua got hurt before he ever started his first game at Alabama.
Yep.
In spring ball. This is just a continuous issue that he has to hang it up. Yeah, he has to hang it up where he has to put the work in on his body.
I don't know if he can put the work in. It's stuff that happens to Tua, and we're gonna get the break out of this. Tua's stuff is not. I mean, like Tua got concussed a couple times. He broke his finger on hitting someone's helmet. He dislocated his hip. I mean, the stuff that he's done is not like normal. So it's like, yeah, put Tua over in a category by himself. But I'm thinking about the guys who are built to run and know that that's a part of their weaponry. I think they just train different and they're built different. So we'll watch it through the years. We'll start seeing if they make it into the 8 to 10 year range, which I think is plenty longevity as a quarterback. So we'll come back on the other side. We have another caller. We haven't got to the Hightower conversation, and we haven't got to Saban. Curtis Lewis said Tua got hurt drinking water too fast. If he stays healthy, he's dangerous. Look out, NFL. If Tua gets healthy, y'all are in trouble. That's what I've heard. Coming back on the other side, we'll get to our caller as well as the additional conversation.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
I'm Aiden Dollins with your Tide Sports Update. Tony Mitchell has been suspended indefinitely from the Alabama football team until more information comes out concerning his legal situation. Team 27 dropped its first softball series of SEC play to the Arkansas Razorbacks, and two key defensive starters are out for the entirety of spring practice with injuries.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. Run it again! For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything looking pretty good on our roadways on this Wednesday morning. Now, if you do see conditions, of course, give me a call. Townsend Nissan is so busy, they are hiring salespeople with up to a $5,000 signing bonus. See BJ or Kylan at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Let's see. There's the business plan, vendors and inventory, licenses and applications, logos and signage, hired staff. Wait, what am I forgetting? The most important piece of the puzzle in business is your marketing. If you don't tell people about your business, how do they know it exists? And these days, that marketing has to include your online presence. Before anyone walks through the door or fills their cart with your products, they've already checked you out online. So what did they find when they searched for you? Did you show up first? Does your website make a great first impression? Is it up to date? Chances are you don't know the first thing about web design or SEO. And that's okay. Town Square Tuscaloosa has the solution to all your digital needs. It's simple, fast, affordable, and it's free to check out. Just go to townsquarelocal.com. You can even see how many local customers in Tuscaloosa are looking for products and services like yours. Let us help you get people through the door so you can concentrate on making them return customers. Just go to townsquarelocal.com. Lace up those running shoes for the Visit Tuscaloosa Half Marathon and Publix 5K on Saturday, March 25th in Government Plaza. Register for the Publix 5K or Half Marathon before rates go up on February 28th at TuscaloosaHalf.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Houston Show. Don't forget to go check out Alabama One, alabama1.org. 2 ways to win, whether it's our credit card challenge, swipe to win, up your balance to win, or get a new card if you don't already have one and win $500 for the swipe to win every week. Or if you raise that limit, I said balance, but raise the limit so that you can swipe more. Or you get a new card, you can be eligible for $500. Also, we have a small wreck vehicle farm ag equipment promotion going on where you can win a big green egg. Great rates, 60 days no pay, up to $250 cash back. All of those things are available, whether it's RVs, boats, UTVs, etc. Win a big green egg if you are in the market for some springtime toys, farm, commercial, ag equipment. Go to alabama1.org, alabama1.org, or stop by one of our branch locations, and our managers and team will be there to serve you. Alabama One together. What's your one? All right, guys. We were having that conversation around quarterbacks based on Todd, but I think something was said earlier in the program that generated a call from Little Al. So before we circle back on Hightower, that's bring in Little Al. You're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Martin, man, just honor to talk to you, man. You're from my era. I graduated in '89, man.
Roll Tide.
It was, yeah, baby, that's right. Hey, I want to just have a take on what
Mm-hmm.
Saban said. And first of all, you got to understand the context. So he had an incident on his team, right? A young man who made a bad decision, bad association, whatever you want to call it. Maybe he's got stuff he's got to deal with himself, right? But in either case, so he had an incident. So he was commenting primarily on his incident, but he wanted to teach. This man teaches. He talks to his team. He's talking to me and my people. You know, my son. He's talking to whomever he can impact. And I think he was talking to the administration. He was talking to Nate Oates. I think it was intentional, and I don't think he does very few. He does very few things unintentionally. And I think now, was it embarrassing? Yes, but embarrassment can be a very good teacher. So I think what he was doing was saying, look, this is how I would have handled it, and I don't think y'all handled it right. But going forward, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to tell my team that this is still, there's consequences for bad associations, there's consequences for choices.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. He's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He is 100% wrong. There is a such thing as being in the wrong place at the wrong time. You see what I'm saying?
Look,
That's why I say, is it careless? Is it?
But no. Martin, hear me out. There's a differentiation. Okay, there is a wrong place at the wrong time. Is that you're checking out at the convenience store and a dude comes in with a gun. That's wrong place, wrong time. Being in a car with a dude, got scales, y'all got weed, you're smoking it while you're driving 141 miles an hour. That ain't no wrong
I'm not talking
place
about Tony Mitchell. I'm saying the fact.
Okay, but I'm talking about Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller is not who he was necessarily talking to. All right.
But
so
it's the word.
Brandon Miller, I am a complete supporter of I'm a complete supporter of the way that Brandon Miller's conducted himself, you know, but there are some people that can question, association. I don't know about Mr. Davis. I don't know what their long-term relationship was with Miles and that sort of thing. But man, gun culture, and I carry guns myself, man. But
here's the problem with what he said for me, because everybody immediately takes it to what Nate Oates said about Brandon Miller, and the reason I have an issue with it is because what Brandon was doing is no different from what he came out and had a whole speech about with Henry Ruggs. He said if Henry Ruggs had somebody be there for him, he might still be playing football. No matter if somebody got mad or what other people thought.
Be there for you.
He needed someone to be there for him. And that's what Brandon was being that night. And that's why I have an issue with the words. And that's why I have an issue with the words of there's no such thing as wrong place, wrong time, because everybody's going to take it back to what happened. Brandon was in the wrong place at the wrong time based off of him trying to help.
Yeah, little X. Little Al. Here's what I would say. I think he was truly talking to his team. What I'm saying is, as a leader of an organization, one of the greatest, I study leadership, Little Al. That's my passion, man. And as the leader of an organization that's the size of the multi-million-dollar organization that Alabama football is, in the fact that it is a part of the University of Alabama organization. Forget school. Let's just think of a business. Right? And everybody says, well, Saban didn't know what was going on. He's part of this university. And whether people realize it or not, what's happening on that basketball court has direct positive impact on football. Let me tell you why.
And vice versa.
Correct.
Right?
You know why? Because players, when I'm not in my season as a football player, you know what I love to do? Man, I love to be up in that stadium watching basketball. I love basketball. So that was part of my college experience. These guys right now in Alabama football are getting to have an experience that nobody has ever had. You go back and watch when Billy Donovan and Urban Meyer were together at Florida, they had the best major sports, those two sports, but the other sports came along as well. And so that's why I say I agree that he was talking to Tony Mitchell, but there are so many other words that he could have used. But he literally, his entire statement after Tony Mitchell was direct rebuttal for the words that Nate Oates, the university, had said that Brandon had been responsible in his behavior, that Brandon had been there at Nate Oates' original words, wrong place, wrong time. That the choices you make, the people you associate with. Well, you can't have it both ways. Do you want your teammates being there for their teammates, or do you not? You see what I'm saying? And so this was not Brandon's situation. And like I said, because of what he said, the eyes went from Tony Mitchell. No one has talked about Tony Mitchell being off the team other than Aiden giving us an update a few minutes ago. Who have you heard talk about Tony Mitchell being off the team? No one. The only conversation you've had is about, oh my goodness, Nick Saban threw Nate Oates under the bus. I think it was a mistake. I don't think it was necessarily that he set out to do it, but I do know that he was giving a statement to read, most likely. Let me say this carefully. They help prep Saban before he ever goes out. Okay, guys? Right? Aiden, would you say that the sports information department and his team preps him before he goes out?
To the best that you can, prep Nick Saban.
And so, on the Tony Mitchell statement, I'm sure they had something that they had asked. They said, "Hey, stay away." They'll say things like, "Stay away from this," "Say this," etc. And I think they said it, and I think he went there anyway. Man, a great call, and I totally get that he was talking to his team and he was coaching up, and this is consistent with what he's always said. Little Al, I'll give you closing thoughts real quick.
Yeah, I think the real takeaway here is, as an organization, we'll probably agree with you. Communication on this thing has not been top tier. Allowing Nate Oates to walk out of practice and run into that whipsaw of those reporters, that was a mistake. And as far as sports information people prepping, I think we failed him on that front. And so, I don't know what in the entirety of what the university knew, from that standpoint. My heart goes out to the young man, and my heart goes out to Tony Mitchell too, because again, where were the adults and the mentors and leaders in his life? Because he ain't been on the campus of Alabama for very long to had any influence hardly on that side of it. That's what we got to do, brother. We got to save our young men. We can't let them get into these situations.
Yep. And we got to be willing to be hard on them too, which is now a bad thing.
Yeah.
Which is now a bad thing. So we have to be careful with all that. Hey, look, Al, where are you calling from, man?
Man, I'm actually in Macon, Georgia today, but I'm from Dothan, Alabama. Grew up in Huntsville, man.
All right, roll tide. Thanks. Call back anytime, man. Glad to have you.
You got it. Roll tide, brothers.
And y'all hear that? Macon, Georgia. He's calling in. You can take us wherever you go. Download the app or tune in on our social media network, our online network, and you can take us wherever you go. We'll be back on the other side with just a few more words regarding the building of the house. We'll transition. We didn't get to the Hightower conversation. I definitely want to have that because I want to honor that young man in his career. So we'll kick that to tomorrow's conversation, Hightower Hall of Famer or not. Coming back on the other side, we'll have Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks, everything moving pretty well. Now, we do see some minor congestion on McFarland at Rhodes Boulevard. If you see conditions, just give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is so busy, they are hiring salespeople with up to a $5,000 signing bonus. See BJ or Kylan at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. Attorney Mary Turner of the Turner Law Group has filed a request for a new bond hearing with Tuscaloosa District Court on behalf of her client, former Alabama basketball player Darius Miles. The Tuscaloosa patch revealed an alarming amount of inconsistencies between the testimony of the prosecution at an earlier bond hearing and the security footage from the area on the Strip where Jamia Harris was killed. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
The universal truth of women's shoes. The cuter they are, the more they hurt. You have to put your best foot forward, and if your best foot is an ugly shoe, oh my goodness. Lisa Ann thought she had to choose between looking good and feeling good, until she got fitted for arch supports at the Good Feet store.
Now I can wear the shoes that I've picked out because I like the way they look, not because they were comfortable.
Good Feet relieved her pain and her fashion dilemma. Stop by or schedule your free fitting at goodfeet.com.
Find your local Tuscaloosa Good Feet store in the Midtown Village.
The Dell Technologies semi-annual sale is on, with limited quantity deals on top tech. Save on select PCs powered by the latest 12th Gen Intel Core processors like thin and light XPS 13 laptops, Inspiron laptops, and 2-in-1s. Plus, get savings on select accessories, free shipping, and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred account. Save today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Did you know Nissan EVs have traveled 8 billion miles? Just a quick trip to Pluto and back. And what did we learn along the way? Well, that an EV can take on the world, like the Nissan Leaf. It can move racing forward and take your breath away, like the all-new Nissan Ariya. We learned to make EVs that electrify. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. 2023 Ariya has limited availability. All-wheel drive expected availability early 2023, subject to change.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It's time for our weekly catch-up with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin. I'm doing well.
Doing well. Scott, I apologize. I got a few shorter time for you, so I want to get it right to you. Take us into that conversation of how to build properly.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to continue our series on building something special, okay? And I got to always look back at our main verse, which is Psalms 127:1. It's David speaking to Solomon, his son, and he's telling him, he says, unless the Lord builds the house, they that build it labor in vain. And he's passing the baton on to Solomon. He's like, hey, buddy, you have a lot of people trying to help you build. Everybody wants to kind of, but of all, the people that you look to, of all the places that you turn, he says, don't forget to make God the main place. Unless the Lord builds the house, you're wasting your time. The builders labor in vain. He says, unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman watches in vain. So we want to focus, and what we've been focusing on this year is, in New Year, everybody wants to build something, right? And obviously we want to build something special. And so we've been talking about, hey, here are the ingredients. Here are the things that we need to use if we're going to build something special, especially if we're going to include God in the building project. We looked at prayer, the importance of spending time in prayer and really communicating with God. We looked at spending time in God's word. Obviously, those are the building blocks, and looking at building our house on the solid rock of Jesus, but also on the solid rock of God's word. And then right now we're kind of looking at fellowship. And so I just want to do a quick review, and then we'll also let this be our transition, because next week we'll look at the final thing we need to focus on if we want to build something special this year. But this week we'll finish up with fellowship. And we talked about last week, we talked about if we're looking at fellowship and that's spending time with other believers, and for the sake of edifying them, and actually edifying means building them up. As we look at that, we looked at 3 specific relationships that we all need to be engaged in. One is we need to have somebody who's mentoring us at all times. Martin is a pastor. Martin has been, is a leader of many people. But I will guarantee you, Martin will tell you he's got some people pouring into him.
That's right.
I get the privilege of serving as a chaplain, and I get a chance to serve many people as well. I have several people who are pouring into me at all times. And so the point is, like, this isn't just for the person who goes, the church member. This is for the pastor. This is for the deacon. This is for the elder. This is for the choir member.
Scotty, I tell people that when I step off the stage, I'm not Pastor Martin. I'm Martin Houston, the believer. So people tend, there's only certain times that you're functioning in that pastor role. The rest of the time, I told them if my life isn't the same as theirs the other time, then I'm a hypocrite. So anyway, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's so strong. Well, I'll wrap it up here with just say, hey, and maybe we'll continue this next week. But I can't say enough about having somebody pouring into you, somebody that's kind of your peer that you're doing life with, and then somebody that you're pouring into. I can't end there. We'll finish that next week.
And of course, one of my favorite scriptures, Hebrews 10:25. Let us not neglect meeting together or fellowshipping, as some have made a habit, but let us. Why do we do it? Encourage one another. That's horizontal and vertical, up and down, left and right, and all the more as you see the day approaching. So I hear people say, "Oh, I don't need church. I can get church on TV." Yeah, you can hear the word on TV, but you can't get that passage on TV. So there's a reason that we need it, and we need it. Every great organization, every great team has a fellowship component, and that's where chemistry is developed. So, kind of give you closing thoughts, man.
Yeah, man. I would say, man, one of my when I think about the beauty of the body of Christ, one phrase comes to mind: let's get better, and then the response is together. I mean, we are there to get better together, and yet, guess what? You can't get better without them, and they can't get better without you. So let's get better together. Let's plug in to the local body of believers, and let's enjoy fellowship. Having somebody pouring into us, somebody that we're doing life with, and somebody
We're the
that we're pouring
body
into.
of Christ, not the arm, not the finger, not the brain. We're the body collectively of Christ. Hard to be the body if you're severed. So anyway, well, hey.
Hey, you preaching there.
All right, tell me where they can find you, Scotty.
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can send me a message there. Come straight to me.
BlueprintTuscaloosa.com. That's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministry. Joins us every Wednesday. Thanks, Scotty. We'll catch up with you next week as we continue to find out the importance of fellowship when you're building something special. And then we'll transition to that closing and final thought. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. That's Aiden Dollins. And that was Scotty Hollins. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters out there for being a part of the program. Remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody.
It's a celebration. Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the